Hello, hello. We're here. We're gonna start this new chapter, which is gonna be playing James Bond. We'll play some Goldeneye. Talk about some legal stuff, and hopefully, uh, you know, get some videos out there. We're gonna start a new one. We're just gonna start off with the low levels and work our way up. Um, see how that works out. Um, we'll start off with agent and work our way to secret agent and the rest. Um, Goodness gracious. This is the easiest one. Just got a bungee jump at the end. Um, Now this is all from a 64. So this is not emulated, nothing like that. This is a 64 game. That's why might not be the best graphics, but it is the game that we're here to play. Now I have to remember how to play. Okay, that's right. You move around. Okay. Let's see. B is reload. Okay, that's right. And looking up and down with your arrows. Cool. Gosh, it's been a while. I gotta get used to this because this is 10 times different than. Ah! Uh, Having, 10 times different than having, uh, Halo. Yeah, that's what we want. Let's switch over to this. Oop, you got a little close. Thanks. This is like 1,000 times different than Halo ever was. The controls are a little bit harder just because I'm not used to them. I think I got most of them. Oh, there's still some out there. That's right, the bunker. And there's someone to my left. Got you? Oh, that person either got lucky or they got close. Yeah, they got close. All right, here we go. All right, you need to hold your head a little still. There we go. Pretty sure I got everybody here. All right, so this first video, I really wanted to talk about. Oh, nope, didn't kill anybody. Could have sworn I pegged both of their heads. Pretty sure I could shoot his gun in hell. There we go. Anyway, this first video I wanted to talk about. Um, I've been seeing a lot of videos and talk about mandatory DNA tests at birth. Now, like I was, it's definitely a hot topic, but I will say this: a lot of people are arguing in favor for them. Like, uh, if you're not married, the problem is, and I've never really seen. Oh, that's cool. God, you could do that. Okay. What do I get? There we go. That's what I thought. I've never really gotten like full a full idea of what um is meant by it. Um, so there's two interpretations I can take from it. One is no 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 no. Didn't get him. Well, if that's the case, that's taken care of. Like I was saying, there was two interpretations you can take from the case from the way that it's presented. One is we'll talk about the first one first, which is you at birth every time a child is born, you have to get a DNA test done. Now, if that is the way authors are putting it, which, like I said, I don't know, um, there would be problems with that. Mostly, it would have to deal with uh, Fourth Amendment search and seizures problems that you'd have, uh, and that just has to do with um, no night. I feel like I just started playing this. Like I'm brand new at this, and I played this game for I don't know how many years. Um. Oh yeah, and this one you have to do. Oop. Well, I think I had to throw it on the line. Anyway, you'd have a problem with search and seizures of the Fourth Amendment, and the basic thought process in that is, um, you can't like your blood is obviously um, part of that the government can't just take. They can't just say, "Hey, you know, show up at this time. You're giving us a blood sample." They have to get a warrant or a court order in some way, shape, or form to, um, not to get your blood. So when you say, we want mandatory DNA tests, the first thing the first thing that crossed my mind is the government can't just say, you got to show up and give us your blood. Which in that first depiction that I gave, that's exactly what's going on. The government's passing a law that says you have to show up and give blood when a baby, when a mother says you're the father and uh, you need to show up. And like I was saying, that is problematic. Probably wouldn't stand up in court. However, this brings us to the second thing, which is, um, if that's not the meaning of uh, you know, uh, a DNA test at birth, which would be the accusation. So let's say you are, you know, woman just gave birth. She accuses you of being the father, or you want to voluntarily put your name on the birth certificate. Ah, you would have to then, um, before you could do that, you would have to submit a DNA test that says that you are the father. That would be more uh that would be more acceptable in most courts' eyes. There would be no Fourth Amendment because you would have to if to get onto the birth certificate you would have to prove you're the father rather than just saying yes I'm on the I'm the father and I can be put on the birth certificate and uh that would be acceptable. Um, Now it that would be perfectly fine in most courts' eyes, but I don't believe that's what most people are arguing for. I believe they're actually arguing for, excuse me, the second part, which was, oh yeah, gain, okay, which is, we want mandatory birth certificates if you're accused, whether you're, I forget which way to go, but oh yeah, the toilets. And then you just cap this mother in the head. Ooh, I think I got him in the throat. Anyway, so well, mess this up because someone's gonna come through that door. Now that they heard this, I don't think there's anybody left. Oh, there were two there. Not anymore. All right, this room is cleared out. Anyway, whoop. Shh, it's quiet. Let's keep it that way. Somebody up there. Nobody in here, but if I recall correctly, there was somebody right here. Yeah, and he has the key card. Anyway, I believe that they're actually arguing for uh, you know, mandatory at birth, no matter who you are or what's going on, which, like I said, would be problematic long term with Fourth Amendment rights. So, not saying it can't happen, but um, I think it's really unlikely that it would stand the test of time. So, uh, but arguing for uh, DNA testing for men, if they want to get on a birth certificate, is perfectly, I think, would stand up quite well. Somebody got me. What do I got? Oh, body armor went down quick. Um, I think it would stand the test of time that way. Um, but if you're just looking to, there we go. Hopefully, I get better at this because I am not doing well. All right, we're gonna have to move this again. Seems reasonable. Anyway, who shot at me? There we go. Because it, as of right now, in most courts, there's four ways that you can be deemed a father. The first way is by far the most simplistic. It's if you are married to the woman. If you are married to whoever's having a baby, you are more than likely, going to be on that birth certificate. Oh yeah, I forgot that whole room is like filled with guys. Excuse me. Did we down everybody? Nobody's over here. Oh, nope, they're just coming through. Now the other way, I'm pretty sure I have to go the other way on Secret Agent, but for for this way, you don't have to do that. Oh, and I'm being extremely loud at this point, not caring who hears me. Um, yeah. So like I was saying, the first one would be, you're married to you're married to the, you're in a marriage. So that is by far the easiest way to be deemed the father. Your name just automatically goes on the birth certificate. The second way is to, oh yeah, you're gonna go meet a scientist sometimes. Which one of you is the one I'm supposed to be meeting? You? No? I think I gotta follow him. Just go. I don't care. Anyway, the second way is if you voluntarily put your name onto you voluntarily put your name on a birth certificate. So basically, someone. So you have a baby, you're on the assumption you're a father, and you go there and you just put your name on it. That would be enough for the court to determine you're the father. Now, if you have a certain amount of time after you put your name on it to, yeah, so I need the remote keys to come forward and say that's not my kid. Uh Now, whether or not usually depends. Usually 6 months to a year. Um, you have. Come on, Alec, over here. Erpsh. Yeah, what were my missions again? I don't know if I passed that actually. Oh, I didn't destroy all tanks and bottling room. Okay. Well, that stinks. To do that again. Um, I didn't really want to do this again. Um, yeah. So you have a certain amount of time. Depends on your jurisdiction. Depends on where you're at. There's certain states that gives you 6 months. Certain states that give you 2 years. Boop. So really depends on where you're at. Depends on what kind of statutes and limitations you have to challenge the putting your name on the birth certificate. However, once you know, like I said, once that statute limitation runs out, that's it. As far as the court's concerned, you are the father. Did somebody come in? Hmm, interesting. I don't think there was any in this one or in this one. Well, besides the guy that I capped. Uh anyway, the third way is obviously you're accused of being a father and you go to court, you know, and the judge has to issue a DNA test. Um, Now, here's where most things get kind of, I wouldn't say fickle, but they get kind of, a lot of people don't understand. Um, let's say, whoa, came in from behind. Let's say you get summoned to court. You are told, you know, God, I'm getting really bad shots. That's some really bad shooting right there. As I recall. There we go. Shouldn't be anybody this way. Um, if you are summoned to court, so if somebody goes and gets you served and you don't show up, just like in civil court, if you don't show up for civil court, they enter a default judgment against you. Can that can be done here as well? I knew it. I missed one. Um, a default judgment can be placed against you. Um, there you go. You're done. You're done. Which just automatically deems you the father. That's the final way that can happen. Now, usually courts hesitate before using that, but if you've been summoned and you don't show up, and they give you a chance to show up, and you still don't show up, or you're making excuses to avoid the court, then the court just kind of steps in for you. Um, and that's just how it is. Um, some people say it's not fair, but you also have to understand from the court's perspective, um, how long, how many times have they gone through, people just not showing up for court? There has to be consequences for it. And that's what they came up with. Now, for me, I think, contempt of court would probably be better. Let's start there, and then we'll work our way up to the other part. But essentially, and even then, you still have a chance to, uh, say I'm not the father and appeal, get the I would say the decision overturned, but get the yeah, you were here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forget. I feel like he was somebody that I was supposed to. Oh, um, whoop. You can show up to the court and say, I want the case reopened. The biggest problem that comes with that is you have to show that either you weren't properly served or there was a reason for why you didn't show up. You can't just be like, I didn't want to show up. That is not considered good enough. Um, which, like I said, I understand the thought process behind it. I don't agree with it. Like I said, it'd be better to hold in contempt than to do all that, you know, personally. But uh, if you don't like it, my my only advice to you is to continue on trying to get the law changed. I believe there's some massive reforms that need to go on within domestic relations courts like that. Uh, but that's a discussion for another time. Hopefully, I'll get better at some of this speaking because I feel like the English language all of a sudden became really hard. Um, but like I said, that those are the two biggest time frames that you have that you run into. Oh, right in the side of the head. That's the two biggest things that you're gonna have. That's some serious slow rolls you got there, guys. Um, it was too easy. No, no, it really wasn't. I don't know what you're talking about. I guess it was too easy for James. He's used to blowing everything up. Um, ooh, got him in the neck. I do like some of the hands. Uh, some of the graphics in here, the how they die. Let's do every other one like this. Do 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 do. Um, hopefully I'll get better at some of the speaking and we can start I can start doing better discussions. Um, but like I said, got them all. C is complete. And Alex didn't die, so meh, that part of the game doesn't come about. Well, besides the fact that he's going to get that part. Um, oh, my hands. Um, we're gonna finish out this video here, but basically to summarize, um, the best thing to do instead of saying mandatory at birth would be to say it's mandatory if you are not married. Sorry, married guys, you're up the river on this one. But if you're not married, it is mandatory to get put on the birth certificate to have a DNA test. Why is that? Well, one of the things that you could probably say is that this is not about lying and all of that stuff, but about the child's right to know, one, and two, health problems later down the line. Um, it protects the child in knowing, who the father is and all of that stuff. So, especially nowadays where we're learning more about genetics and, diseases that get passed down through genetics, uh, much more plausible case to say, hey, you know, uh, you could have a child that 20 years down the line didn't know that he had a genetic disease that could cost him his life, but if the correct father was identified, then early treatment could have been given, and he could have lived a completely normal life, or whoever they are. Um, Whereas, without that, it becomes a less of it becomes more of a problem after 20. Who knows what the disease is or what it does? It's just a fill in the blank kind of options. So you could use that as an argument. Also, the argument of making sure that the right father is identified and the one that's going to uh, pay child support or raise the child or have time with the child, be a parent and get to be a parent, and that no one is there's no ifs ands or buts on who it is. Um, I think that's a better way to do it. Uh, you don't run into Fourth Amendment problems. You don't run into uh, all these other things. You still kind of keep the third option of having to go to court and get a DNA test, whereas oh, excuse me, you also put into effect that men that want to willingly put their name on it still have that choice. And they could get it done at the hospital the day the child's born. So that's not really doesn't take as much options, excuse me, away from people, and still allows everyone to, a lot of things to continue down the path that they are. I think the fourth option should be eliminated completely. I think we should go through contempt of courts more. Um, if you're avoiding court or you're not coming to court, we should know why. Did you not get served? Did you not actually get served? Was the service incorrect? What happened? Rather than just going, well, you're a default father now. That doesn't help the child later down in life. It builds resentment and anger, and it just makes a very hard early life for a child that didn't ask for any of this, but because of court proceedings and all this stuff, I think the courts go down that road incorrectly. Um, I think there's better ways to have them brought before the bench and a DNA test taken and done than just defaulting on it. I think that's okay for civil. You don't show up, then you got to pay. But you to do this in domestic relations where there's a third entity that has nothing to do with the actual case at hand, um, except for being born, is just not the way to take it. Um, but yeah, mandatory. Like I said, if it's as it reads, mandatory at birth, um, I don't think that would hold up in court long term. To have a hospital call you up and say, "Hey, such and such just gave birth, and she said you're the child. You're gonna have to come down to the hospital and get a DNA test." Whereas mandatory at birth, if you want to be on the birth certificate, would be more acceptable. But like I said, there's a lot of leeway in how that talk is. So I don't honestly know which way they're going, and I'm just giving my best thought process on what's out there. Um, and a lot of people would say, "Oh, what's the big deal? It's just a DNA test." Other people would say, "Government doesn't need to be involved with my blood." So, it's a right that you would either have or surrender. So, but this new setting, I'm gonna do probably try to put out a couple videos a week, and we're gonna start with good old James here in Goldeneye, and as we go through it, we'll try to get um, more stuff done. We'll try to talk on several topics. I started with this one just because that seems like that's a lot of what's going around. Uh, I've seen a lot of talk about changing that, and I believe that it would be an okay topic to start off with. The next topic I think I'm going to start off with is child support. And after that, alimony. So we'll go through some domestic relations stuff, and we'll go from there. So, but this is Jack the Noob, and just getting a little bit better each day. Have a good one.